Good afternoon guys, welcome to another video. Today we're gonna cover a little live replay casting of a game that I found on Discord. I think that this game is amazing. One of the best games I have ever seen in my life. Probably this game over here should be at least the top 5 best games ever made in Tiny Wars. Because today we're not gonna see a normal Greyfield game. We're gonna see a Greyfield minus game, and you will see why in a few minutes. Again, this is a video to make fun of the game and the moves, not the players. So all respect to the players, please. This is just a fun game that everyone starts somewhere at the bottom of the ranked ladder. And today we're gonna record you. How did you play when you were on the bottom of the ladder? So in today's replay we're gonna see a game between these two individuals. Our protagonist over here is GM667 playing Greyfield Plus, and our opponent over here, Rocky190, is playing Foresight, Mr. Unit Count versus Mr. Rig Guy. This is a really good map. It's all pathly to solve. It's a 2-base map with an airport and a few temporary naval ports and a few cities over here. This is a really good map for Greyfield. There's a really good airport here. You can see units over here, and because of Greyfield's super seal power, he can deploy unweighted aircraft from a temporary airport. So if he builds a temporary airport over here, he can deploy air units all over here and not just on this side of the map only. And Mr. Unit Count himself is just have a really big zone with 10% firepower and defense. Greyfield is a 3 zone with a cheaper boarding cost, with 10% of firepower and defense, and a huge defense buff to the battlecopters and seaplanes. On the 4th naval unit, it doesn't matter, there's no naval port in this map. So let's see. First thing first, let's go directly to the opening. Both players start with an infantry, of course. Let me just get rid of that. So both players start with an infantry. Of course, player 2 gets one extra infantry, and they go immediately to the capture game. There's not much to talk about here. He sends the infantry over here to the middle, same distance, or with this one over here to start capturing maybe this property over here. This infantry goes over there and capture, and this is just the normal capture game. So far, both players are doing really good. There's a good change of property for this infantry to go. They both seem that they did the same. Of course, I want to highlight this over here. The Foresight player decides to go first for the airport, which I think is a really good move, because now from over here you can go over here, and start capturing these cities over here, or maybe he can go over here, who knows. And let's see. So he starts capturing these properties over here, the Greyfield. He buys a bike over here last turn and start capturing here, and this bike over here, definitely a really good choice to start capturing these properties real quickly. And over here, Foresight loads into a bike. With Foresight, you really want to deploy into something quickly to get that zone immediately. The cheaper the units, the better. And of course, high mobility is key. So a bike is really good for Foresight, and he buys a Recon. He's playing Fog, so a really decent build, and he goes immediately for the airport. Now, in this position, over here, this bike could go to get the airport, which I think this is the first big mistake that the Greyfield player did. He did not go for the airport immediately. He's playing a CEO that all his playstyle is around battlecopters, because, well, there's no airports. He could deploy seaplanes with a temporary airport. However, he did not go for the airport, which I think is a big mistake right here. He really wants to get that airport immediately and start deploying some battlecopters later in the game, but maybe he has a better plan than I do. Maybe GM is a secret grandmaster and he does something. And of course, Foresight gets trapped here. he should have figured out that this property is probably already been captured on his way. He buy an artillery, which is kind of weird considering that, well, there's a good places to hide it, of course. Then you have the woods over here, this woods over here, this woods over here. But an opening artillery, I mean, his real opening was a recon, but second vehicle artillery, I think it should have been a tank, but it's fine. And again, GM skips completely the airport again. He's playing Greyfield. He needs that airport to start playing some battlecopters, but he completely skips it again. He gets trapped over here by infantry. It's no way he can interrupt that. And he sends the infantry finally to the airport, a little bit too late, honestly. And he buys a tank as his opening vehicle. Foresight, as a principal player, decides to use the recon over here and attack this property and start capturing. It's not gonna get far. This infantry over here can interrupt the capture and get a really good first strike on top of the woods. And he goes for another recon and a tank. Jin gets trapped over here. I don't know what his plan was. I'm moving that bike over there, but that's fine. He takes a really good strike on the recon, and with a little bit of lock damage, he heals it with the bike. Interrupt the capture, of course. I don't know this bike is what it's doing over here. This is really greedy. He should have sent this bike to this infantry to capture the city over here instead. This is not a good idea. And he buys a flare. Not a bad choice because this is fog of war. However, at this point, Greyfield should have expected a few more tanks over there. So maybe a recon was a better idea. It can definitely reach 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. It could definitely go and interrupt the capture in one turn. Force I buy a tank, of course, and buys a medium tank. This is interesting. He dumps all his money on one single unit. Because this map is really small, takes up like this are not so bad. However, this early on the match, a medium tank, I don't think that's a good idea. If he wanted to destroy this tank over here, a battlecopter would be a smarter choice. And this medium tank, you will see on a couple of turns why this medium tank is not so good. But of course, who knows? I just replay, so he might have a secret plan over there. He of course sees the artillery over here, and this is a horrendous move by Greyfield. He has a tank on vicinity, and he should have expected that on this over here was other tank. Now, if this wasn't a medium tank, if this was a tank, these two tanks can hit KO this tank easily. Like, we can just do the calculations over here. Switch attack and defender. Let's select a tank. You're gonna do 5 to 58. So it's gonna, let's say it's the minimum damage, so it's gonna be at 45. And now we select yet another tank, and boom, it's dead. So all this 25 energy close to sun expansion will be gone in a matter of a second. So really bad move over there. He should not have go directly, and of course it obviously was gonna happen. But again, because of the mistake of a medium tank, if this was a tank, this will be dead right now. He moves the CU unit over here to this city and gets a really good first strikes over here. And of course he tries to get to trap the CU unit. This is not trapped because he can just blow it up over here. But it was a nice idea, I guess. This is horrendous, as you can see. He should not have done that. Like, this CU unit is not trapped. He could have gone over here. It's almost guaranteed to die. Over here he could do the same, move it over here, and that frees the CU unit. But he decides to attack like this, which is horrible, because not only they survive, the CU unit is still trapped. He get a really good loop roll there. If that didn't happen, he will be stuck there. But beginner's luck, I guess. Gets a first try on this recon, this is not a good idea. He's attacking from a plane. He could attack from here, from the city, and he doesn't get good damage because he was equal. And first try with a bike for even worse. And he of course saw the artillery, so he willingly put that bike over here to attack in range of the artillery, and he finally buys a barricopter. However, he hasn't buying a single rig, and he's really close to 60 energy, so he might want to consider buying a rig next turn. Of course, it was destined to happen. The artillery took a shot on that bike and killed it. And these properties over here are still despicable neutral. There's a 3k difference on both players, and he haven't even sent any infantry to these cities over here to start capturing. Well, really good capture from part of the Greyfield player. He is already getting this property while Forsyth isn't. He takes a really good try over here. There's an artillery, but I don't think he didn't saw it. Nope, he didn't saw it. However, if he moved this tank first, he might be able to saw it. But the middle tank is in a really good space. It's on a wood, so he's gonna hit 50% defense plus the son of Forsyth. He kills that recon over there and starts sending one infantry over here. And look at this over here. He's already training this capture over here. He cannot interrupt it if he goes there. And here over here, Greyfield is getting a lot of energy, and he scouts a little bit to get something over here, a sign. And this is not a really good move because this tank is really exposed, really exposed. If he had any kind of vision over here, this tank will be dead. And this tank is on range again of the artillery and a tank. Of course, he cannot see it because it's on a wood, but again, if there was more units on the map, it would be a random move. Of course, he scouts it. He almost killed the infantry. The tank finished it off, and he spots the tank again, and he fired by Sarik. He's really close to 60 energy. He's gonna get his zero power, and that's really devastating zero power. He has a lot of money right now, so next turn he's gonna get 20k. He could deploy 3 pyrocopters in a single turn, unweighted. But this over here, in this turn over here, right over here, turn 11, this is the moment the game's. We have been playing a game that small errors, a few mistakes, normal stuff. At the beginning of this point, the game goes completely into nonsense. In this position, Greyfield pops Super Sea power with no temporary airport whatsoever. He has no temporary airport in the whole map. Not only that, he only has one barricopter. This single barricopter is gonna get the extra damage. And he has the artillery. He takes a suicidal shot against this tank. I think this barricopter should have either go to the medium tank or this tank over here. Because these barricopters are just giving veteran status, dude. What are you doing? He takes a first strike on the medium tank though. Buys another barricopter. So he literally popped Super Sea power over nothing, because all these units over here could have got the buff anyway if he just stayed in the zone. Except this bike over here. This bike didn't get the buff, I believe so. He buys another artillery. So in this position, Forsyth is having a great advantage. Like, GM literally just popped his CO power with Greyfield with no temporary airport, and as you can see, position is exactly equal. Both players have the same unit, almost the same unit count, with the same value of the army. This is insane. And look at the income gap. It's insane. It's 5k. If he seated on that Super Sea Power for one more turn, he will have got this temporary airport, well, 2 turns. If he has seated on this temporary airport 2 turns, he could have deployed 3 barocopters immediately and start training the center, because this is the first anti-air that Forsyth built. The whole game. It's turn 13 and he buy 1 anti-air finally to fight all these barocopters. There's 3 barocopters in vicinity and 1 is already coming here. He should have bought this anti-air a long time ago. It's completely fine. Position is extremely equal again. It's extremely equal. Even the Greyfield has used his Super Seal power, has more barocopters in the vicinity. The position is still equal, and he has income advantage. It's insane. It's insane. These barocopters go over here. He did not take the CO unit out. I don't think he will be able to anyway. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. He has a lot of barocopters, and opponent has, and of course, a missile. This missile, first thing first, it cannot reach the wood in 1 turn. So he has to move it over here to keep it hidden. But of course this missile wants to be maybe over here to start sniping these barocopters. This missile is a horrendous move. If he moves over here, he can snipe absolutely nothing. Not even his barocopter is defended by the missile. Which is insane. Like, this is insane. He buys 2, 1 anti-air and a tank. And he starts selling his infantry. These properties over here are free estate. Are free estate. There's nothing over here covering them. Same over here. Only a bike. If this infantry gets here, this anti-air has to get here, and this is already captured, to even try to interrupt it. He just moving troops. He can kill the unit in this turn. And this position, Greyfield gets another Super Seal power, and this time he has the temporary airport. This turn is gonna blow your mind. He pops Super Seal power. Let's count how many barocopters he deploys. Zero barocopters! Not a single barocopter from the temporary airport. This can deploy seaplane, barocopters, any air unit. And he decided to deploy it on the airport! On the regular airport, dude! This is insane. I told you this game was insane. This is a bad move this is a bad turn for Forsyth. He lost his CO unit. There's a bunch of barocopters. And not a single of them came from the temporary airport, dude. This is insane. It takes a shot to the barocopter, and he does not kill it because of the extra defense. But he finishes off with his aircraft. What again? He's triple on the unit count, 12 versus 16. There's 3 tanks over here, and he only has 2 anti-air. This barocopter is in range of this barocopter. It's gonna blow up next turn. And guess what? The missile is not covering this barocopter. It is square over here. He spot a bike, and he haven't finished capturing these properties over here. He buys another tank, and he sends this infantry over here. I should have maybe put it over here, a little more forward. He needs to. This infantry cannot kill this bike. So if this was over here, he could kill it next turn, but that's fine. Okay, I guess. Again, these properties were free estate. He finally sent something over there to protect them. He again. This is not so bad because there's this mountain over here. And as you can see, he only has 1 tank on vicinity. And of course, he did go for that really sweet strike. And he can kill the Sion unit here. by just doing these 2 tanks. And he does it. He absolutely does it. Mr. Recon over here to hide it. And he buys a bomber. He didn't buy a skip though, so it's not so bad. But a bomber. This is a fantastic build. I don't think he realized that this build was really good because there's 4 tanks over here, although there's a missile over here, so he has to be very careful with this bomber over here. But doesn't matter. Foresight deploys on the CO units the tank. He pulls back all his units. It's not a really good spot. This is not a really good game for Foresight right here. He goes for another medium tank. He cannot fight every day. His units have too much defense. However, the medium tank is not gonna do much, honestly. It takes 2. He can first strike over here, but it's coming 2 battlecopters and a bomber. So this medium tank is not a good build, honestly. But how could he know that this monster is coming? Like, there's no way. He just goes over there, first strikes everything. He can take a really good strike over here against the missile, but he just continues with his march forward. This game is practically over at this point, and this missile he decides to finally attack it. This is horrendous, by the way. He's on a road to forward to this base. So if this base has a medium tank or attack, this will be dead, like straight up dead. But okay, that's fine. He could have got that strike over here, maybe over here, less risky, but that's fine. He goes battlecopter, tank, and bike. And surprised to no one, finally Foresight is catching up. He has more income, but at this point it doesn't matter. Rifa has double his unit count. Mr. Unit Count is not having a good unit count. And of course the unit is dead. No surprise to no one. He was too risky doing that. He should have just sent the flare to do so. But it's fine. He had another tank ready. He's shuffling the units around. Now, these properties over here are free state again. There's nothing over here to cover them. They were just all fighting on the center. He kills the anti-air, and he goes directly for the CA unit. And it's just the game over at this point. There's nothing much to do. Mr. Unit Count has 8 units against 21. Value of is 42 versus 1018. But he still has some decent engagement, but there's not much he can do at this point. Finally captures over here, and he has a higher income than Greyfield at this point. But it doesn't matter. This middle tank is so dead. Like, so dead right here. In fact, he could either just send it to attack this anti over here. First try with the tank to lower the HP and then finish it off with the bomber. It does none of that. Attacks with the bomber first, making the bomber weaker now. And goes for another bomber. I think he was thinking to play Waylon because this is insane. He used his super C power twice. I had zero use of it. This is right here, ladies and gentlemen, is Greyfield minus a racket. Greyfield minus a racket, that's it. So simple as that. And the game isn't over yet. And if you were expecting a plot twist, like, oh, he figured out to use the Super CO power at her time, you will be completely wrong. Spoiler, you're wrong. In this position over here, he's close to his Super CO power again. He makes another battlecopter. He's probably using these battlecopters as bait for this anti-air, so he can attack it with the artillery over here and with the bomber over here. And he's deploying another temporary airport. So, future powers are gonna be great, right? They're gonna be so great. He didn't pop Super Seal power, which is a miracle, I believe, that he did not pop Super Seal power. He traps the medium tank. Medium tank is in jail. He's absolutely in jail. He cannot free it. It's just insane this game that this happened. He buys anti-air, tank and a battlecopter. I don't think the anti-air is really that big of a deal. He has already one over here. Has a lot of battlecopters. And again, that medium tank is on jail. He cannot escape. And Greyfield is sitting on his power with 2 temporary airports. And he popped the Super Seal power. Let's count how many battlecopters he deploys from these temporary airports. Whenever you want. No pressure. Whenever you want, you can deploy them. Deploy 0 again. 0. None. 0 battlecopters ambush point. For server side, I don't even know if this was on purpose or the maximum disrespect. He deployed. He popped Super Seal power. He deployed 0 battlecopters. Notice he fuck blocked the airport with his own battlecopter, dude. He deployed. He was playing. No, he wasn't playing Greyfield plus. There's no plus on the side. This is regular Greyfield. That's it. It's regular Greyfield. Greyfield minus. This was insane. This was an insane game, dude. I can't believe I watched this again. And that's the game for today, fellas. If you like this kind of replays, I will try to bring funny ones. I have another one. We'll show you the other day. I hope you like it, the replay over here. It's insane how people can play this CEO like this and deploy 0 ambush pounds battlecopters. And that's it for today. See you next time.